My name is Kashana Evans. I'm a California native and have been in New York for a zillion years now. So I am a New York resident. My background, I became inspired by, wellness and overall well-being and voice dialogue 10 years ago. But I really studied different modalities of wellness because I had seen so much turmoil growing up. People that I cared about were stuck, having suicide attempts and feeling the impact of so much that is structural, so much that us Black women go through. And then the world is kind of giving us this table turning and we're expected to just figure it out ourselves and shrink into it and smile and also entertain everyone and also take care of them. So I've got a lot of opinions on this. Of course, opinions my own. Bridget and I work together. I am her publicist, but I will absolutely own opinions are my own. And I've studied shamanism, Reiki, some of the most beautiful breakthroughs in my life, including voice dialogue, have had to do with some of the more dreamy and fantastic sides of our divine design, dreams, and all these different creative and intuitive energies. So with that, I would love to just pass the talking stick to Bridgit Dengel Gaspard, author of The Final Eighth, Enlist Your Inner Selves to Accomplish Your Goals, and Brooklynite. So Bridget, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what is motivating you to have this conversation on, Black wellness IRL.
Well, thanks, Kashana. Talk about divine intervention. I think there's divine intervention knowing you, and also I know Mitzi for a long time, and I think of our intermingling as divinely inspired as well. So I stumbled upon voice dialogue by synchronicity because I read about it in this book called Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw. And it's an amazing book. It's probably 40 years old or something. I still recommend it. But in the back of his book, there was this description of this work called voice dialogue, where you enter different parts of yourself. And I'm a former performer, and I know Mitzi from that world too. And so it just was like, whoa, this will help. This is a good creativity tool. But that's just the surface part. What really resonated, I would come to find out, is that voice dialogue was my healing journey. And so I literally hunted down the doctors Hal and Sidra Stone, who created it, which was just calling the 800 number and finding out who did it in New York. And I just took to it. And then as I started to get facilitated in meeting the selves and really grieving many things and getting in touch with lots of different parts, I became so interested in the technique, I started to do trainings on how to actually do it. And then in the trainings, I watched this voice dialogue. People get to their parts. And one of the great things about New York City is that so many cultures are here. And so some of the participants in the group, they're like, their first language was not English. And these young parts would come out and speak in these languages, and you didn't even have to know the language. You just had to support their message. And then when you come back to center, the person could say, well, this is what that self was saying. And I watched the healing transformation happen so quickly that I became fundamentally bored with pursuing acting. And that I went back to school. I got my social work degree from Columbia, and I used to make a joke that I'm going to take my checkered past and turn myself into a Renaissance woman by having this degree, as well as getting the education which I needed, because the healing just blew me away, and it still does. And also, it is creative. And then I realized if you're not creative, that could explain so much anxiety and depression also. Like, it's not random. Those that cannot express, it's appropriate to be depressed. And it just gave me so many different lenses, like, your depression is appropriate. Thank God. Now, let's go find out how you can do the things you love. I guess my guess is your depression will align. And so I've just loved being here. And it's kind of like Kashana crystallized what I would have loved to offer. And I didn't know that. I'm just so honored to be here because I love supporting all voices. and being around it. So it's like you're making a dream I hadn't quite crystallized come true, Kashana. So thank you for this and for your navigation creativity in putting all of this together.
You're welcome. You have a talking stick, Bridget?
Oh, okay. Dr. Tina.
I looked down. I was like, let me see if I look down and she wouldn't pick me.
Yeah, I pick up on that, right, Janelle? She knows.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
I should have steered. Bridget, I love when you reference the book. I have it on my shelf, and it's so funny. You made that book come to life. So I wrote it down to go back and pick it up because he's an awesome author. So now I was trying to figure out what book I was going to go back and revisit, and I'm definitely going to revisit that and love to get yours as well. I'm Dr. Tina. I work with organizations and individuals. I help them live their best life and come deal with the different barriers that is placed before them. I love what I do. I love talking about mental health and mental wellness. My tagline is your prescription to mental wellness, mainly because too many people aren't brave enough to have those conversations. And I remember when I was talking with someone and it's like, why do you have that corny tagline? Your prescription to mental wellness, because I said it says it all, right? And since we've been in the pandemic, I started seeing people change their tagline to kind of match that. What has always been is just surfacing more since we're in a pandemic and in COVID, right? People are now, whether they want to or not, is spilling over with them sharing their struggles. And it's in a way it's awesome because before I felt like they were stuffing it in. So to have this conversation is something that I enjoy because it's desperately needed. So thank you for having me. Let's see who I'm going to tag. Janelle.
Hello, everyone. Janelle Muhammad. I'll be muting my my microphone occasionally because of the birds and the noise. So my name is Janelle Muhammad. I too am from New York. I'm from Queens. I am an international realtor and travel consultant. I've been, I would say, on a wellness journey for about 10 years off and on, you know, and one of my main issues is I'm trying to find the easy way for everything. So when I found the final eighth, it kind of resonated with me because it's something that I can do myself. Although, you know, I'm not saying anything wrong about therapy. I actually want to see a therapist when I get back to the States, but it's just something that I can, you know, have to myself and keep for myself and work on in those little moments where I would normally, you know, just kind of zone out if I'm feeling bad. Instead, now I can zone in. So that's what I love about it. So thank you for including me with this. Mitzi, of course.
All that lace. Thank you. So it's great to be with all of you. I like to label myself as half Appalachian and half New Yorker. So I was raised to become a woman in New York City, and I'm back home in my Appalachian area for almost 10 years now. And so what's interesting about being here, my New York experience as an artist, but as an educator and activist, but in my healing journey, deepest part of my healing journey happened in New York City, was instigated by September 11th and someone asking me to be part of an anti-war rally protest. And with all the things going on and personally, I finally started seeing a counselor, and the question he asked me that popped my whole story wide open, in which I'm still working in each layer that continues even to this day to come peel off. He said, "What about your dad?" And I was like, "My dad? Ain't nobody seen my dad. What are you talking about, my dad?" You know, but that took me on a whole powerful journey through therapy, through finding my dad, through Reiki, through now. So fast forward all these years, sharing the story, working with others, teaching, but now it's interesting being home, and some of the layers that I thought I had moved through and possibly did, they have reemerged in a different way. And so what I love about us being here together, what I haven't been finding, only Bridget as a white female, seems to be one of the few women who is more comfortable, white women, of color, being able to talk about race being one of the impact of racism being such an impact on how I experience my mental health. And being back home in a predominantly white community, I left here because I needed to see culture, color, and have a diverse experience, and to find equity, because I sure wasn't finding it here. So I love that we're here together. And for me to be with women of color who can acknowledge that with me, or however you choose to acknowledge it, but for me to feel like a safe space where I can talk about that and how it really has impacted me and how I want to move through it continue to move through it as best I can. Thank you.
Well, I really love that. And, I unpack quite a bit with the conversations that I have with Bridget, but with each of you, I've also started some processes with just having deeper conversations. And one thing about that, Mitzi, you identify the way you identify, but I know you to be 1,000% Mitzi. And so I want to hold the space for us to be there and to acknowledge we don't have to go around splicing up Black girls to tell them their percentages. There's a much more profound opportunity. So with that,